All right, well, welcome everybody to my Facebook Live show. My name is Mary Hyatt, and I am super excited that you are here. Maybe this is your first time tuning in. Maybe you are here every single week. Regardless, I'm so happy to have you. And if you don't know me, I am a presidential diamond with doTERRA essential oils, a life coach, a body love advocate, and what I love to do is to help women wake up, find their voice, and become fully alive. And I have a fabulous show for you today. We are going to get into your relationship with food and how your feelings really impact the way you eat, the way you choose your foods, all of those different pieces to our eating experience. Our emotions are going to play the most important role when it comes to the quality of our life, the way in which we see our bodies, our relationship to them and food. So we're going to hop into that here in a few minutes. But for now, let's start the show. So feelings are the key to healing our relationship with food and our bodies, and ultimately being able to play full out in life, to be fully present in our lives. And so my coaching clients come to me and they say to me, Mary, God, I hate my body. I'm miserable in my life. Maybe they're talking to me about the ways in which they are obsessed with their food. They can't stop eating. They're emotionally eating, especially this time of year. I know I got a lot of feedback from you guys saying that you're so afraid of the holiday season coming up and the endless amount of parties and just feeling like maybe you can't control your eating, that you're going to eat a lot of sweets and you're going to have a lot of cakes and cookies and just all the fear around that. There's already kind of that anxiety that seems to be creeping in. Even before we've celebrated Thanksgiving, it's on our minds. Can I control myself? And, you know, when we look at our cycles of dieting, our cycles of binging or restricting, anytime I hear that people are in those kinds of patterns, I know it's because they're afraid to feel their emotions and they are using food as a way to cope. And y'all, we have become so good at numbing our emotions, whether that goes to food or not. Maybe you're coping in a different way. We have lost the connection with how we actually feel. So in this journey of learning to love ourselves, to love our bodies, we have to begin with being willing to feel life, to show up to what is happening in our lives so that we actually don't have something to cope from. We have to learn to cope with our emotions without trying to find a way to numb them, to dull them, to disassociate from them. Like, so often we are trying to stuff and push away these emotions. And so learning to love ourselves and our lives, learning to love our bodies is really tied to our emotional experience. And if we keep suppressing all of our emotions, if we numb them, if we dull them, we end up hating our bodies. And here's why. Because our bodies store these trapped emotions. Okay, so hang with me for a second as I kind of explain the body and what it does when we stuff our emotions. So when we stuff our emotions, our body becomes the enemy, because it is the keeper of all of the things that we are stuffing down or burying. And when we hate our bodies, we can't be present for life. We begin to feel foreign to our bodies. It feels like anything but home. And we hate our bodies. And we don't understand them. Our bodies begin to feel like they are against us. And this comes from such a strong resistance to what we're feeling, a resistance to our emotions. And so when we don't process what it is that we are feeling in our lives, the anxiety, like some of you guys mentioned anxiety, the stress, the loneliness, the boredom, the anger, the grief. I know this time of year, a lot of grief, a lot of loneliness is getting triggered. A lot of anxiety is getting triggered as we're going back to our family of origin and all the junk that originates there. We literally stuff those emotions and then hand them off to the body. And the problem is that the body was never meant to process our emotions like that. And so it goes into survival mode kind of in one form or another. It adds layers of protection maybe. It stops digesting what we're eating. It doesn't respond well to our abuse. It's like the body is where we're storing all of the stuff that we're unwilling to deal with. And so literally, like whether it was with food or whether it's with alcohol, whatever, we shut down because we're just stuffing all of this stuff down. And it's no fun. Then we blame the body. And as Janine Roth says, she says, to the extent that we go into survival mode, like I can't feel this, I won't feel this, it hurts too much, it's going to kill me, we are slipping into baby skins, old forms, familiar selves. Young children, especially infants, mediate the pain of loss or abandonment or abuse through the body. There is no difference between physical and emotional pain. Obsessions are ways we leave before we are left because we believe that the pain of staying would kill us. Whew, like that is so powerful to me. Like when I hear that quote and I hear that because of all the pain that we have in our life, what happens is we start to obsess, whether it's about food, whether it's about work, whether it's about sex, whether it's about shopping. We start obsessing, even about our bodies because we don't want to feel what we have to feel over here. And we become really terrified of our emotions. And I don't know if you guys feel this. I want you to type in a number 1 in the comment section below. So I want to hear from you guys. But we have an irrational fear that our emotions are going to kill us. We have an irrational fear that if we actually feel all the stuff that we have been stuffing for so long, that it's going to make us crazy and we're going to go into the loony bin. I know for me, in my marriage and when I was in my 20s, I did this. I stuffed myself with food, with alcohol, with anything I could find basically to totally numb myself out. Because I was terrified if I felt what I was feeling, that I literally, they were going to have to lock me up. I was so unfamiliar with processing emotions, feeling what was going on in my life, that it felt like it was going to kill me if I actually felt it. And so I had to stuff more. I had to numb out more. I had to dull that pain, dull that fear, dull that anxiety even more. And I just want to know, is that something that you guys ever feel like? If you let yourself actually feel what's going on, that you're going to lose it, that you're going to just cry and never be able to stop. They're going to have to, put you in the loony bin. I want to know if this is true for you. So type in a number 1 in the comment section. If you've ever had this thought, because I know it's normal. Every single one of my clients pretty much has told me that they have felt this way. But we have this fear that our emotions are going to kill us. And Brooke Castillo says, many of us spend a lot of time resisting our emotions because we are afraid of what that experience of them will be, because we associate the experience of what an emotion is to what it's like to experience it after we've resisted it, because it explodes. So, okay, Carrie, you're saying number 1. Karen, you're saying number 1. So what happens is when we think about our emotions, we think that what we're going to experience is what it feels like to experience an emotion after we've stuffed it and it explodes. It's like the beach ball syndrome. So if I'm in a body of water, in a pool, and I have a beach ball, and I try to push that beach ball, down down in the water, eventually what happens is that beach ball pops up, hits us in the face, and that's what we think emotions are. We think emotions are that explosion, but it's because we've been pushing them down, we've been resisting them, that makes that explosion. When we can experience emotions normally, it's not that intense. But many of us are taught from a very early age not to feel. Who can relate to that? Like, I know I had heard so many times in school and church and whatever, like, suck it up, man up, pull it together, get a grip. Tears are for wimps, or nobody wants to be around a basket case, or go in the corner and take care of yourself. Like, those are strong words. Like, we aren't taught that feeling is safe. It's like the adults in our life who were unwilling and unable to feel what they were feeling were threatened by our feelings, so they made us shut up. So we don't have a lot of practice with this. We don't have a lot of experience with this. Anybody can relate? Can I get, like, some thumbs up, some hearts? I want to know, like, were you taught as a kid you can't feel your emotions? And what happens is that we haven't truly felt emotions in a really long time. We are not familiar with them. We have zero vocabulary for expressing them. Like, our vocabulary for emotions is probably like a couple words: stress, anxious, excited, grateful. Like, we don't have the range of vocabulary to really name it what we're feeling. And we also have this sense that they're going to be too intense, they're going to take over us. And so we won't let ourselves feel loneliness, feel anger. As women, anger is like such a hard emotion for us to get on board with. We won't let ourselves feel rejection, fear, desire. And so we go numb, or we go into hyper-controlling. So we overeat, or we undereat. We stop working out, or we go crazy and work out way beyond what is healthy for us. And oftentimes we kind of bounce back and forth between the two, binging or purging, like literally or figuratively. And here's what happens. When an emotion feels too intense, and when we don't want to integrate because the pain is too strong, we end up shutting down and avoiding and numbing and disassociation. So this creates a really strong disconnection from our hearts and from our bodies. And we end up obsessing about our bodies because we are unwilling to feel what is happening inside of ourselves in real time. So then we externally obsess. So when we're unwilling to feel what's happening inside of us internally, we obsess externally. And so a lot of us, and if you follow me because you know what I talk about, this is probably true for you, a lot of us turn to food to numb. Now, that doesn't mean that you are necessarily somebody who is always overeating. You could turn to food to numb because it's a source of control. And so you diet, you count calories, you cleanse, you detox as a way of control because you're unwilling to feel what's inside of here, and so you want to find an external solution. You either stuff literally with food and you numb, or you find control in food. And whether we turn to food to indulge or to control, it's because we are depriving ourselves of the self-care that we need. And so if you overeat, sometimes the only time that you're going to give yourself that loving attention, that care, is when you're going to go eat a delicious meal. And because we're in such a deficit of self-care, we eat beyond our fullness signals. We kind of gorge ourselves to make up for that deficit. Or we turn to exercise to numb. We turn to restricting calories to control. Or even, alcohol, shopping, overworking. Anything that's going to give us that like quick fix of serotonin to calm us down and sort of allow us to avoid for a hot second the reality of the feelings that are coming up inside of us. Never realizing that's what's drawing us to those behaviors are the fears, are all of the emotions. And that's motivating us to those behaviors. So Janine Roth says, compulsive eating is a way we distance ourselves from the way things are when they are not how we want them to be. Ending the obsession with food is all about the capacity to stay in the present moment, to not leave ourselves. So when we are unwilling to feel, we begin to buffer. I want to know from you guys, just comment below, how do you buffer? And buffer just means like giving yourself some space between the pain, between the stress, between the anxiety, so that's like that serotonin hit to chill us out. Do you buffer through food? Do you buffer through overworking? Do you buffer through drinking? Do you buffer through shopping? Like if you kind of know how you numb out, and let me just say, there's zero shame in this because we all do it. There's a lot going on in our lives. We're exhausted. We're oftentimes overscheduled. We got a lot of emotional stuff going on, especially this time of year. And so we all sort of have a default way of dealing with things. And I want to know from you guys, what out of those, what is it? Carrie, you said food and TV. Jessica, you said food for sure. Yeah. So what is it for you? What's your kind of go-to place? Mine was food for a really long time. Now I've sort of swapped that with working. And so I had to be really, really careful with that. But one of the things that is always surprising to me is that most people don't know what they're feeling at any given moment. Like I asked at the beginning of this, hey, what are you guys feeling? Like what's your primary emotion that you're feeling right now? And so if you didn't answer in the pre-show, go ahead and answer now in the comments. Close your eyes, take a moment here, and just kind of ask yourself, okay, what am I feeling? What emotion am I experiencing right now? Because we're always feeling something, but we're usually not clued in. So what am I feeling? I still feel a little anxious, of course, doing this. So that's probably my top emotion right now. So if you want to share, just comment below. What primary emotion are you feeling? I just think that's fascinating. Deborah, you said you crash or fall asleep in front of the TV as a way to cope or numb. Totally. Karen, you said sleeping. Yes. Yeah. Excessive sleeping is so common. So, like I said, we have not been taught an emotional vocabulary. So it's challenging. Like you might find that exercise of pulling out an emotion right now difficult to actually name that emotion. We haven't been taught how to sit with our emotions, to invite them to tea, to kind of like lean into the discomfort of what we're feeling and be present with it. And the truth is, all any feeling wants is to be welcomed with tenderness. It wants room to unfold. It wants to relax and tell its story. It wants to dissolve like 1,000 withering snakes that with a flick of kindness become harmless strands of rope. So let me help teach you a little bit more about feelings. Because like I said, if you're afraid to feel, but we know that part of our healing of our relationship with food, our relationship with our body, is to feel more, to be present for life, to not have to cope with something else, but we can actually deal with what is the root, then we need to understand 3 truths about feelings. So the first truth that I know about feelings is that they are just vibrations. Okay, so this is really interesting. They feel real, but they aren't necessarily true. So your feelings aren't you. You might feel depressed, but you aren't depressed. They are not your identity. Emotions are energy in motion. If they are not expressed, the energy is repressed. All right, these emotions are detached from you. It's how you experience the world. So think about an emotion. It's like this vibration out here, okay? It's not my identity. It's not part of me. So I can feel depressed without being a depressed person. I can feel anxiety without being an anxious person. I can feel grief. I can feel sadness. I can feel joy, elation. And these are just vibrations. And this is really comforting because oftentimes we think we're a prison to our emotions. That if we feel angry, then all of a sudden I'm this like crazy bitch, angry woman, and it's like, well, I don't want to be that. I don't want to have that identity, so I can never express or feel anger. But if we think about them as external vibrations and not part of our identity, it's really, really helpful. It allows us to have some distance and gives us permission to really feel more of what's coming up for ourselves, because it's just a vibration. The second truth about feelings is that they won't kill us, okay? You're going to feel them, and then they're going to flow out. So emotions are like a river. So I think about a river. I had a therapist who explained this to me years ago, and y'all, I love therapy. Such a fan of it. Obviously, I'm a life coach, so I love coaching as well. But I had this therapist that said, okay, when you feel things, it's like a river. So what you're going to start to notice is different things are going to come down the river. So you might have a leaf that travels down the river. You might have a fish that comes down. You might see some rocks, all different kinds of things. You might see some trash that are floating down the river. And you don't have to pick up that leaf and say, oh my gosh, wow, look at this leaf. Oh man, I want this leaf. I don't want this leaf. No, you just have to notice it going by. And as it comes by, it's going to flow out. And sometimes you do. You want to pick it up and you go, okay, fish, where did you come from? Where's your home? How old are you? Where did this feeling originate? How old is this feeling? But you don't have to do that. And the great news is once you're done with sitting with it, understanding the emotion, you can put it back in the river and it's going to flow. And so your emotions aren't going to kill you. They aren't going to take over. They're not going to send you into the loony bin. When you sit with your emotions, when you notice them, when you name them, when you see them going by, you go, wow, I'm feeling this right now. I'm present. I'm here. I'm feeling right now doing this Facebook Live. Like I'm feeling a little anxious. Like I'm in the studio. I've got the lights everywhere. I've got microphones everywhere. And it's like, I better do a good job. So there's that pressure that I'm feeling. But that pressure is going to be done when I'm done with this Facebook Live. Didn't kill me. It's okay to perform while feeling pressured or feeling anxiety. It's just that vibration. It's not going to kill us. And the cool thing is the third truth is that we have control over them. We are in the driver's seat of our emotions. They are controlled by our thoughts. We can shift them. So if we're having a moment where we're feeling really anxious, okay, we have to ask ourselves, well, what am I thinking that's making me feel anxious? What's that about? And if I'm thinking to myself, well, I can't screw up during this Facebook Live because then if I do, nobody's going to love me. Everybody's going to leave me. I won't have any followers. Of course, those thoughts are going to create a lot of anxiety. And so once I notice that, I can choose to shift my thoughts and say, you know what? It's fine if I mess up. It's fine if people don't show up today. It doesn't matter. My lovability isn't on the line. It's all good. Just have fun. Be here. Be present. That's going to make me feel more relaxed. So I can shift those thoughts to make me feel something different. So the cool thing is we have power over them. We can change them based on what we're thinking. And at the end of the day, we have to choose to let ourselves feel. We have to choose it because our instinct is going to want to run from our emotions. We've been taught way back when that it's not safe to have emotions, especially as women. We can't be too moody. We can't be too emotional. Right? So we have to choose to say, you know what? It's safe and it's okay to feel. And we have to meet our feelings without judgment, without resistance. And oftentimes, when we think about our feelings, I think this is so fascinating. Let me know, just type in a number 1 in the comments below if this is true for you. But we have a list of good feelings and we have a list of bad feelings. We have a list of sanctioned feelings and unsanctioned feelings. Feelings that are okay to feel and emotions that are not okay to feel. So I want to know if this is resonating with you. So either thumbs up, hearts, comment number 1 in the comments below. But if you have this sort of dichotomy, this morality attached to your feelings. There's good ones, there's bad ones. Like, it's okay to feel happy. It's okay to feel peaceful. It's okay to feel joy, but it's not okay to feel anger. It's not okay to feel resentment. It's not okay to feel grief. You know, we've made enemies out of some emotions. And so as we're learning how to feel our emotions, we have to meet them without judgment. Okay, Shannon, Carrie, Abigine, Jessica, Deborah, Karen, you guys are all saying one. So yeah, like this is so common. So it's almost like we have to neutralize emotions so that any emotion that we feel is A-okay. Any emotion, any experience that we have in this moment is the human experience of life. And we have a rainbow of emotions. And the cool thing about the rainbow of emotions, think about you've got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple. They're all in the same line. They all make that arc. No emotion is better or worse than another. They're all equal. Okay, so we have to neutralize our judgment on emotions and just see them as just an emotion. And so part of making peace with the mirror, part of learning how to love ourselves is being willing to ride the wave of emotions. And I'll be honest, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you will know this. They're waves. Like, there are moments for me that if I'm getting dressed and I'm getting triggered by something, like, I'm going to have some feelings about it. I may have a huge wave of shame that comes over me, and it's like, oh my God, and I go through and I might start spiraling. That's why anytime we have emotions, anytime we're dealing with strong emotions, it's great to kind of snap yourself out of it if you need to. I mean, obviously you can sit in it, and that's important, but if it starts going down fast and hard, you know, you might want to have something to snap yourself out of it. That's why I love essential oils, because that aroma shifts the chemistry of your brain, and it kind of, you know, snaps you out of it, and you can go, okay, wait a second, let me get some bearing on all of this. But there's going to be ebb and flow, and the goal isn't about perfection or having good feelings all the time. It's being willing to feel anything that's going to come up. Because when we resist our emotions and not deal with what's coming up, it always is going to draw us back into those unhealthy patterns that keep us numbed out, checked out, asleep for life. So a question that I love to ask myself when I'm feeling like kind of overwhelmed and everything's kind of spiraling is I say, wait a second, what is asking for my highest attention right now? And our emotions play into how we relate to food also. And so when you are in this moment and you're drawn to the fridge and you're not even hungry, but you just want to devour anything and everything, or you're eating at dinner and you just want to eat so much food, but you're not hungry anymore. You're actually satisfied. You have to pause to say, okay, what's asking for my highest attention right now? What am I needing to buffer from? What am I needing to numb from? How am I using food to make me feel better? And so our relationship to food, our relationship to our life is always going to mirror our relationship to our feelings. How we feel in our life is going to show up in how we eat. If we found peace in our life, we'll have peace around food. You know, it's like it's going to become a mirror with what we're dealing with in our life. And so we want to begin to open up to recognize our emotions and relate to our lives, relate to food, relate to exercise in an entirely new way. Because like I said, if you maybe are eating beyond when you're biologically hungry, it could be because you're just feeling angry, but you haven't given yourself permission to feel angry. Maybe it's because you're feeling tired, but you won't give yourself permission to go to sleep. Maybe it's because you're feeling lonely and you're afraid to reach out to a friend. And so eating ends up being our way to cope. It's our way to get through that without giving ourselves permission. And we use food to quiet our voices. The same goes for working out or shopping or anything, overworking. It's like when we don't want to feel what we're feeling, we're going to go to our default and we're going to abuse it. It's going to become self-destructive because we're not dealing with the root of what's going on. It's like, well, I'll just go on a run. That's going to make me feel better. Or I'm just going to go work out. That'll help me feel better. Oh my God, I'm just freaking out. Oh my God. And I'll just go do some more work at 11 o'clock at night. It's like anything that we do to avoid what it is that we're feeling. And so we might use food, we might use working out, we might use diets, control to distract us from sexual feelings, desire, right? Because we know we have not been given the green light to have any of those and to feel any kind of pleasure. So because that's normal and natural and human, then we're going to go distract ourselves and quiet that down. You know, we use food, we use work, we use working out to calm our anxiety. We start overeating sometimes or undereating to protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable. It's a way to kind of give us that power back. And again, it's that serotonin hit. And these are times when we are disappointed, hurt, or feeling abandoned. We turn to food at times like these to avoid a sense of isolation or the feeling that we are unloved. And so choosing to feel our way through life is incredibly brave. Like, I am no stranger to how difficult this is. It's brave. When you have spent years and years and years afraid to feel, choosing to feel, you have to have a lot of grace for yourself in this, because you're going to want to numb. And like sometimes for me, it's like, oh my God, I'm feeling so anxious. I don't know what to do with this anxiety. I'm going to go eat, but I'm aware that I'm going to go eat. You know, or I'm going to go work through this. I'm aware this is happening, but I don't have the capacity right now to know what to do with these emotions. So you have to be really gracious to yourself as you're working through this. Trisha, you said, this is everything today. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. I'm crying as I watch this because it's nice to know I'm not alone in these feelings. I'm so glad you shared that. First and foremost, like, thank you for just, you know, saying, hey, I'm there too, because you're not alone. Like, this is so normal for us. For us as women, this is normal. And y'all, we have to feel to heal. We cannot make peace with the mirror. We cannot make peace with food or stay on this journey of loving ourselves without feeling what's going to come up. So be patient with yourself. You've probably spent years stuffing. You're probably an expert at avoiding your emotions. And so if nothing else, get curious. You know, start observing what emotions are coming up. And so I want to share this quote from Brene Brown with you. She says, the opposite of recognizing that we're feeling something is denying our emotions. The opposite of being curious is disengaging. And so when we deny our stories and disengage from the tough emotions, they don't just go away. Instead, they own us. They define us. Our job is to not deny the story, but to defy the ending, to rise strong, recognize that our story is here, rumble with the truth until we get to the place where we think, yes, this is what happened. This is my truth, and I will choose how this story ends. And so when we are working on this journey, we have to ask ourselves this important question. What am I unwilling to feel? What am I unwilling to feel? If I gave myself permission right now, I'm feeling sad that, fill in the blank. If you gave yourself permission, I'm feeling angry that. If I gave myself permission right now, I'm feeling really effing resentful that. What am I unwilling to feel? What have I been avoiding? What have I been trying to kind of push down and ignore? Because, y'all, I know, because we're right around the holidays, that a lot of this shit is coming up right now. A lot of this emotion, a lot of stuff is getting stirred up. And if we're not careful, we are going to just numb our way through it. But there is a different option. There is an invitation to give ourselves permission to feel. To start getting curious of noticing for yourself, okay, well, how do I block these feelings? You know, what techniques do I use to avoid my feelings? Start recognizing kind of your patterns of avoidance. You know, sometimes people avoid their emotions. They like laugh right? They become really good joke tellers. They use comedy to kind of avoid their emotions. Maybe, I don't know about you guys, but this is when I see a lot, is when something's uncomfortable, what do? We pick up our phone and we start hopping on social media. And that's a way to numb out, check out. That is like an amazing number. We start eating, we start drinking, we work out, we're working. You know, what are your patterns of avoidance? And so I never want to leave you guys without kind of an action step. Okay, well, how do I begin getting curious? How do I begin really feeling what's coming up? So I want to give you a 5-day challenge. And this is going to be for the next 5 days, from now until next Wednesday, to name one emotion a day. So this is my name an emotion challenge, all right? And this is going to be something you can do. Just write it in a journal, write it on a sticky note. This is about as easy and simple as it's going to get. So for the next 5 days, I guess it's not till next Wednesday, but till next Monday. For the next 5 days, just write out one emotion. What am I feeling right now? What is asking for my highest attention? Is there anything that I'm unwilling to feel? And give yourself permission to feel without judgments, without any kind of condition, without putting shame on it, just to sit and feel it for a second. Even if you don't know quite yet how to be with it and entertain it, if you can just name it, that is going to be amazing progress. It will change your relationships to food. It will change your relationships to work, to working out, to alcohol. When you're no longer using those things to buffer and you're able to feel your real life and admit what's really going on, get honest with yourself about what you're feeling, you don't have the need to numb and to cope. Then you can enjoy food. Then you can stop being afraid of food. You can find pleasure in food. You can have a drink without it being, a necessity. It's about looking at the root of what's going on. That's our feelings. We have to feel in order to heal at the end of the day. So I hope that I gave you a little bit more insight to your feelings, to how that's related to how you show up in your life, and gave you permission that it is okay and normal to have a broad range of emotions. As humans, we're going to experience everything from A to Z in the emotion category or catalog. We're going to feel it all. And if we can stop denying and invite ourselves to feel, then that begins the road to healing a lot of what we've been stuffing. So I am so excited to see you next week, the day before Thanksgiving. I have a fabulous show planned for you, so you're not going to want to miss it. So while you're hanging out with your friends and your family, maybe you're going on vacation, make sure that you set aside a little bit of time next week to watch my show next Wednesday, 1 o'clock Central. But as always, the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. I will see you guys next week.